After coaching thousands of students, I've noticed that most blunders happen for the same few reasons, and in this video I'll show you 3 simple rules to avoid them. Imagine you're playing this position as white. Your opponent moves his central pawn to d5. How would you play here? Now, let me show you what happens in real games here. I pulled off a database of online games, and here in the bottom right corner you can see stats. And at the top you can see the most played move by white is pawn takes d5, played in 41% of the games. And the second most played move here is bishop takes d5, played in 15% of the games. Now, what's wrong with both of these moves? Well, they blunder this queen on g4. And you may be thinking, hey, that's just such an obvious blunder. Maybe it was played by beginners. All right, but if I hover this, it shows you that the average rating of players blundering the queen is 1200, both for pawn takes and bishop takes. Right, so let's say if I go there, of course, it does not mean that all of them are 1200. Some are lower rated, some are higher rated. If I scroll down, you see here players rated 2200, 2000 are playing this in rapid games. How come that a 2000 rated player blunders a queen in one move in a rapid game? And it's not an isolated incident. Let me show you something else, which may be actually even more practical. So here, sometimes your opponents will go for this scholar's mate idea, and then black's got a pretty interesting move, pawn to f5. Now, how do you play here as white? Most players here capture this pawn f5, renewing a threat of this scholar's mate. And if black goes pawn to d5, guess which move is the most popular here? Bishop takes d5, with the average rating of 1300, and the issue is still the same. It blunders a queen in one move. How come 1300 rated players blunder a queen in one move? And it's like, I'm talking about the most popular move by white, right? So the issue is the most dangerous moves are the ones that look obvious or tempting, because here, once your opponent played pawn to d5, if you can just capture it, this idea is so obvious, like your bishop was attacked, and by capturing a pawn, like you solve this problem, you also grab a pawn and you renew a threat of a scholar's checkmate. Therefore, you have 3 great things at once, and it looks like such an obvious and, almost an automatic solution. And when we have a move like that, we just kind of mentally switch off and we stop really thinking. Here's another pretty common situation. We've got a game between 2 players rated approximately 1500. Black pushed the pawn forward to c4, and guess what white did here? White just captured this pawn on c4, which is a losing blunder. Which brings us to this first key takeaway. The most dangerous moves are the ones that look obvious or tempting. Because think about it. If a black player, rated approximately 1500, gives up a pawn here on c4, probably it's not because he's just an idiot. Probably he came up with some idea, right? It makes sense to think about it. So here, after white captures the pawn, there's bishop c5 check, the king has to move, and now queen d1 just finishes the game for black. A very common scenario for a blunder is when your move just feels automatic, feels like the most natural response, and you just play it instantly. Here in this position, white moved the queen to f3, which hits this rook on a8. Black noticed that, great, and then decided, okay, I'm gonna castle, and this rook will no longer be in danger. And when we play those moves instantly, we often realize a second later that something is terribly wrong here, and then we cross our fingers, hoping for our opponent to not notice it, and yet he shamelessly plays that move. How would you play in this case as black? And this slowly drives us to the next rule, but I want you to think about it just for a couple of seconds, because then the insight will be really useful. So here's how it usually goes. We see that black's got this passed pawn. Very cool, we can just push it forward, there's nothing in front of it. All right, what else? We can maybe capture this pawn on f2. That also looks pretty nice, right? We got this juicy pawn, our rook potentially can hit the king afterwards, also looks lucrative. All right, what else can we play? I mean, there isn't too much to do, and black will probably pick one of these 2 ideas. So let's say we decide to just create a new queen. Now, what's wrong with that move? Well, white then also tries to create some counter chances, goes pawn to h5, and then you realize that, well, actually, he wants to go h6 and queen g7 checkmate. That's pretty annoying. Capturing that pawn and opening up your king also doesn't look very good. White will obviously keep attacking it, but then you gotta deal with this threat somehow. So let's say you try to run, right? But white keeps attacking. Now you start feeling that it really doesn't look too good, but there's not much you can do anyway. So let's say you play pawn to h6, trying to attack the knight. You still feel like, well, maybe you can still get away with this, but he captures. Now the pawn is pinned, he's attacking you. Okay, you grab the the knight. You think maybe if he takes, I recapture somehow and I'm doing good, but white delivers this check. King has only one square to go to, queen h6 comes over with a checkmate, and black is done. Which brings us to the rule number 2. An enemy piece in your half of the board is a blunder warning. The issue is, as long as there is an opponent's piece on your side of the board, it is a constant source of danger. And it is not a coincidence that at the end of the line we have just analyzed, this queen delivered a checkmate, because it is the closest piece to you, and it is the one putting pressure and attacking you. And the rule is pretty simple. Do not wait until this piece strikes and really causes some big trouble. Neutralize this piece right away. Just think, how can you attack it? How can you trade it off or push it back? And if you ask yourself this right question, it's much easier to find a proper move for black. Like, how can you attack or exchange this queen on f6? Now, I don't see an easy way to attack it. As for exchanging, maybe I can go here and then queen e7 and trade it that way. Okay, that's one way to go about this. Or maybe to avoid retreating the rook to a passive position, maybe I can go here, activating the knight, and then if white tries pursuing the same plan, now we go queen to e7, and we just exchange this queen. And white will have to either trade it off or retreat it somewhere back, but in both cases, your position is safe, and black should probably win this game because you save all the advantages of your position. You can push this pawn, you can take here, and you're just winning because you took away white's main attacking piece. In this position, it was black to move, and black decided to reroute the knight somewhere, or maybe to open this diagonal for his bishop, I don't know. Either way, do you know what's wrong with this move? Yes, black blundered the pawn on h7. And I understand black did not see this threat, but regardless, black should have noticed that there is this knight on black's side of the board, and black should neutralize it by playing h6. You see how easy it is to play when you just know these clear guidelines? Alright, instead black played knight e7, and now indeed this pawn can be captured either by a knight or a rook. Capturing with a rook is even stronger because now we potentially try to put together this quick checkmate, and black is pretty much defenseless. By the way, let this be our puzzle of the day, because now we're close, black is trying to escape, you go here, rook h8 is a threat, black goes g6, and this is checkmate in 3. White to play. If you can find the right move for white, please write it down in comments below, and I'll reveal the solution later. And this is the third and also super classical example and scenario for a blunder. In this position, white played bishop g5, attacking this knight on f6. And here's the issue. When you attack your opponent's piece, you usually and naturally expect this piece to be defended. You expect black to play bishop e7 and solidify this knight. What you don't expect is this piece to counterattack you back, right? Because it breaks this natural pattern of thinking. But here, black actually can, instead of protecting the knight, which they actually did in the game, black could capture this pawn on e4 and attack your bishop, right? And this is probably something that white missed. By the way, another interesting fact is that analyzing the game with computer, while helpful, is not always insightful, because in this case, computer tells you that bishop g5 is actually a fine move, even though it was most probably a blunder, because computer calculated that there is here this brilliant move, queen to e2, which pins the knight. And after d5 and f3, because of the pin, you're still winning it. Computer figured it out and realized that bishop g5 was fine, but for a human, it was probably still a blunder. But back to the main point, the idea is, when you try to attack an opponent's piece, just ask yourself, can it come forward with a threat? That's also a super common situation. Here was black to play. Black realized that there is this active knight of white. Also, the queen and the bishop are forming this battery against your king. Black realized to shut it down and to push this knight back by playing pawn to f5. But now you already know that instead of just thinking that this knight will go somewhere, or just assuming that he'll trade on d6, you gotta ask yourself, can this knight come forward with a threat? And in this case, f5 is actually a very bad mistake for black, because it only helps white to jump with this knight forward, attack your pawn on e6, which also is attacked by the rook, and now knight takes e6 is coming with major devastation, attack of the queen, attack of the rook, and all around. Back to the puzzle of the day, let me reveal the solution. It was white to move mate in 3, and here it was really tempting for white to try to check the king, but it just runs away. And then it comes there, and there is no checkmate. The winning move for white here is pawn to f6, and that is the shortest path to a victory. What's tricky about this is that now the black rooks shuts down this escape path for the king. And now you deliver this check, then the other rook comes forward with a checkmate. If you want to go deeper into this, check out my course Level Up Your Chess. It includes a full chapter on how to avoid blunders, and also it gives you a practical system for openings, middle game, and overall improvement. I also recorded myself playing and showing you exactly how to apply all these ideas in your practical games. If you're interested, the link is in the description. Thanks for watching and see you soon.